Welcome back to the Blurb Breakdown with Taylor and Megan, where we break down and dive into the book blurbs, the good, the bad, and the cringeworthy.
Fair warning, this podcast is rated R for mature content, strong language, and spicy discussions. If you're not ready for swoon-worthy scenes, steam, and unfiltered bookish opinions, proceed with caution. Otherwise, grab a drink and join us.
Welcome back, Blurbers. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Megan. We are still breaking down Heir, and this chapter is going to be full of action. So I'm going to kick us off about the halfway mark, part 2 in the book. And we start off with Chaol and Adian on their little mission to figure out what's going on in Otterland and Rifthold and whatnot. So they're questioning soldiers that are in the King's army. And one of them reveals that he had spent 5 years in Knoll, and out of nowhere, the king pulled them out, sent them home. This is where the king had one of those towers built that's part of the triangle. So this particular soldier also mentions that some of the men in, I guess, his platoon, I guess you could say, have gone mad. And they're complaining of headaches, which brings us back to Celaena, to the cousin, Roland, and their headaches. So he said it was so bad to the extent that some of them were bashing their skulls open. So what the hell is going on?
No, that sounds like a terrible headache. Shoot.
He also mentions that there's another black tower in Amaroth. I don't know if I said that right.
Right.
We're going with it. And that forms a triangle with the one in Knoll and then Rifthold. So we have these 3 towers. We do definitely have proof now that they're making a triangle. So
yes,
that's going to be interesting.
So now we have Manon and the 13. They are training together. The men are smelling a little bit kind of weird. So Manon knows something is wrong, but she's not sure what is wrong. So
yeah,
she's still doing her thing. She ends up going to the Ruin Mountains to get spider silk because she wants to steal the spider silk from them to get some for Abraxas's wings.
Yeah, they're damaged. So, and I think silk is like perfect. Like that that'll be
and
perfect.
Spider silk is supposed to be impenetrable.
Yeah, very strong.
Yeah, so we do learn a lot about that, how unique it is, which they'll go more in details in Assassin's Blade as well when Celaena has an instance with it.
So I remember reading this and I thought it was so weird. It gave me the heebie-jeebies because I know spiders from Megan. And Manon talked about trying not to step on the little baby spiders, like walking over her feet and like on the ground or whatever. And then this big giant creature comes out and I'm like, is it a creature with a face? Like a human face? I don't really know what's going on. But Manon asked to see the silk to like make sure it's okay. And the spider lady tells him to cut a swatch off. And so she does. And Manon, badass she is, she takes over to the sun and she's like, there's imperfections on this. Can I expect this with the rest of it? And the spider gets pissed off and she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's fine. It's perfect. And the spider gets too close to Manon. Abraxas knocks her out, the spider, with his tail. And Manon fucking snatches the silk and bounces. No payment because the spider wanted payment in the form of her beauty.
Yes.
So, not really blaming Manon here, but she jacked that silk and she bounced. And I know it's going to cause issues in the future. She just created an enemy. So,
for sure. More enemies. That's just what you need, Manon.
Right. You have all your witches against you already. Like, come on now.
Yeah, because, like, at this point, like, Abraxas still can't make the crossing between the mountains. So Iskra ends up whipping him, and Manon
Yeah.
ends up attacking her. So now there's even more of a problem within the witch clans.
It really pissed me off that she beat him like that because
Yeah.
when I think of him, I think of this little baby puppy, and like I just think he's so cute. I don't know why. I love him. Okay. And so when she beat
Yeah.
him, like it really hurt my feelings, and I was not happy about it. Okay.
No, yeah, no. I am with you. I did not like it. No animal abuse, please.
Not even the wyverns.
Except during Fourth Wing.
Yes, that's okay. Because they're bad. Oh man. So yeah, he's not making the crossing. And there was a point in which the grandmother, I don't know what her name is, I'm sorry. The Blackbeak ruler right now basically tells Manon, you need to take him. She had this whole plan. So like if he couldn't make it, her second in command and somebody else was going to grab her, and basically Abraxas was gonna die. He was gonna fall into the gap and just be done. But the grandmother basically says, whatever you're planning, don't do it. If if you can't make the crossing, you're both gonna die. So I didn't like that because I just don't like the grandma anyway. So whatever. But
you're just like, whatever you say, lady, I just don't like it.
Right. Oh man. But yeah, so don't be mean to Abraxas. He's a cute little wyvern.
No. Don't be mean. Okay. Go for it.
Then Kaol and Adian are still on their quest, and they hear that General Norok is making monsters on Dead Island, and they were like men, not men, but like men, and they were wearing black collars.
Yes.
We have a notorious history of black onyx rings, black onyx towers. Now we have black collars. So
yes,
is he in with the king? We're gonna find out. But we learned that Norok has plans to attack Wendelin, to take some of these monsters he's making and attack Wendelin. So we're not happy about that because to me, Wendelin, like we haven't had any issues in Wendelin yet. Like obviously the king left it alone when he took over Terracin. So like Wendelin's like Switzerland, you know what I mean? Like it's leave him alone. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, because that's obviously going to have to play a bigger part into the story then, because obviously we're going to be returning to Wendelin. We know that's where Rowan is. We know that's where Celaena is. So we know that it's a big part coming up.
Yes.
So I don't know if they're going to bring the fight to them or vice versa. We'll have to wait and see where they do the battle.
Yes.
And then we go, so Rowan and Celaena start sharing stories, and Rowan gets Celaena to keep the bonfires using her magic around them, but she does almost burn out. And in this scene, like, he also sees Celaena's scars and learns of her time in Endovier, because now they are finally opening up, starting to have a little more understanding of each other.
Yes.
Oh wait, Celaena's not maybe just a brat. She has gone through a lot of stuff.
Right.
So he ends up actually telling Celaena about the Karanam, which a Karanam is, it can give your power if you're compatible and share a blood connection with another's.
Right.
It is very rare, and many don't meet them. But I have a feeling, that there's a reason why we're hearing about it.
Of course.
And so, they're still training. Celaena learns to make fire shields.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
I did like that a lot. And Celaena has a birthday. She's finally 19.
Yes, she turned 19. Our baby.
Yes. After she's learned to make her fire shields, her and Rowan are out again training, and they come to the cave. Rowan flies into this cave, and Norak is in there with all of his soldiers that he has created and 3 creatures. Okay, we don't know what these creatures are just yet, but one of them comes after them, Celaena and Rowan, and they actually use their little skinwalker friends to battle against it, and the skinwalker takes this creature down. So
yes,
at least we know that they can do that. So I'm curious to see, are they going to use them in battle?
right.
If it comes to that, because Norak is planning a battle,
Yeah.
and we're going to have to do something here.
Right, and so like Wendelin, there's magic in Wendelin, there's Fae in Wendelin. This is not in Otterlin where they're gonna be able to walk in with these creatures and just take over.
Right.
I don't even know if they can take the creatures into a magic list because I don't know how they're created. So
right, I didn't think of that. All right.
Yeah. And while all that's happening, we have an uprising in the Calicola mines after Nehemiah's death. So then our lovely king decides to have every slave in that mine and in Dovir killed.
Yeah.
Gotta love our king even more.
I remember reading that, and Celaena actually kind of getting excited, thinking that the slaves actually overtook the soldiers. And when she finds out that they didn't, she was very upset.
Very, yeah.
Because I think it said something like 2 soldiers went in to kill all of these slaves. And I just, like, that is crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, we know the king's notorious for just dropping people, 500 EOA people.
Yeah.
So, like, this was nothing for him. They're slaves in a prison. So,
and it was her goal. Like, one of her goals was to be able to go back and free them. So that is like devastating news for Celaena.
Yeah, made me sad for her. Then after this, Norak is making his move, and he Mistword starts preparing for this upcoming attack. So Celaena and Rowan tell as many people as they can. He knows that they're not going to be able to get enough help from anybody because they're so far away. But they're trying to prepare who they can, evacuate who they can, and whoever can stay and fight is going to stay and fight. And Norak and his creatures appear, and they prepare to attack. This is when Celaena realizes that these creatures are the same exact creatures that she encountered in the grave barrows that Rowan told her, like, hey, if you can cross the grave barrows, I'll take you to Dornell. But that's when she realizes that that's what these are, and she gets lost in their darkness. They're the Vogue.
Yep.
Okay. While she's in this Vogue, this is when she has that flashback that I talked about in part 1, where King of Otterlin and Dorian, because we know from I think it was Throne of Glass, the first one, that Dorian knew Aelin when she was a child. Obviously, he didn't know that Aelin is Celaena and Celaena's Aelin, but he knew Aelin as a child. So the king and Dorian are visiting Celaena and her parents, and she realized that she couldn't control her magic, and she used it in front of the king. Yeah. And she mentioned, I wrote it down, she kept saying something about a worm in her head. It's in my head. There's a worm in my head. And this brings me back to the headache situation. Because she was having pain in her head again while the king is sitting there, like, staring her down.
Yeah.
She realizes that the king used his own powers on her to make her lose control. And in this moment, her power's fire, right? So she's breathing this fire out. Her mom's power is water, and she basically has to drown her daughter to get her powers under control. So her mom and dad take her to this little cottage, and her mom gives her the amulet of Orinth. Basically said, don't ever take it off. This will lead you home. Okay. So she wakes up in the middle of the night. That night, they're in the cottage, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a storm going on outside. So she's scared. She's 8, right? And goes into her parents' bed. She remembers it being cold in there and wet in there. And so she's like, whatever, I'm with my parents. It's fine. She wakes up to one of the maids screaming, Marion. And I cried a little bit reading this part because Marion was so selfless. But Marion realizes that Celaena's parents are dead, that they had been killed.
Mm-hmm.
They were dead before Celaena ever went in there.
Oh,
And
it's terrible. It's so
I
terrible.
know. So she lays down in bed with corpses, okay?
Yeah, and when she says wet, it's obviously their blood, which
Blood.
is just
And she
terrible.
mentions smelling the iron, but as an 8-year-old, you're not going to put 2 and 2 together. You know what I mean? So, Marion removes her from the situation, and she hears some commotions outside. She tells Aelin, 8-year-old little Aelin,
Mm-hmm.
you need to run. You need to run and not stop until you have somewhere to hide, somewhere that you feel safe. Do not talk to anybody unless you recognize them, and
Yes.
like even then be cautious.
Right.
So she tells Aelin, like, as soon as I tell you, you run. And so the man starts to come in the door, and Marion pushes her outside, and she says, run as fast as you can.
Yeah. Run to the bridge and cross it and hide.
Right. And so Aylin's looking back, and she basically sees Marion get beheaded. And that made me sad because Marion had a child too. So that as a mother, that made me very sad. I'm not gonna cry, okay?
Yeah,
And
okay.
so Aelin gets to the bridge. She goes to jump between the 2 posts that are holding the bridge, and she realizes when she doesn't land on anything that the bridge has been cut. And now she's falling into this river. She loses the amulet that her mother gave her, and it's gone. And she later assumes that Arabin has it.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time that all this is happening, that she's having this flashback, she realizes that amulet her mother gave her is the 3rd and final word key, and that Arabin having it is a huge, huge liability.
Yes. And when Rowan finally he claims her, and that they are Karanam, which we just went over,
Yes.
and that basically that made her powerful enough that she was able to then destroy the Vogue, because he stated before, is you can utilize each other's wells of power. So by him doing that and then becoming the Karanam, she was then able to destroy that Vogue.
Right. Because Rowan is over 200 years old. He's had all this time to master his skills, so he's pretty powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank God for him.
Yes. And we know that across the realms, or the lands, news is spreading that Aelin is alive. So we just have all those little rumblings around. It seems very minor, but we know that the big powers at play, when they hear that this is happening, it actually is going to probably move things along much quicker.
Yeah, everybody's going to be scrambling to do what they have to do, because Terracin, before all this happened, was the strongest kingdom. So, with their heir still alive, what the hell are they going to do now?
Right?
Oh, goodness. So Celaena, after getting out of this Vogue darkness, she goes to Maeve to find out more about the word keys. Maeve tells her they cannot be destroyed, but they can be put back in the gate. Okay? And that with all 3 word keys, the king could raise an army of the dead, which is really scary, because that is a giant army.
Yes.
So this is not good.
No, not at all. And then with that, the mark that Celaena ends up getting on her forehead is actually the bastard's mark from Brennan.
Celaena ends up covering Maeve's entire island in wildfire. She's not trying to hurt anybody.
Yep.
But she threatens to burn everything and everyone. And this was just her, I'm just letting you know what I can do. Yeah.
Yep.
And she realizes that Maeve killed
Athril.
which is a man that she loved, in order to get the word keys.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon escaped with them and shows Maeve the vision that the Volg showed her with Celaena in power and how the people love her. So Celaena knows her power now. She knows what's going to happen. The ring that Celaena found in the cave was Aethel's. Celaena uses the ring that she found in the cave to bargain for Rowan's freedom from the blood oath that he has with Maeve. And once he's released, he makes a blood oath to Celaena, and then she gets Rowan to tattoo the name of the dead on her. So she's like becoming one of his 6, like that group of 6. And I love that because she's a badass. That's where she deserves to be anyway.
Yes, and it's like, I don't worry about Rowan being under a blood oath with Celaena. We know that Maeve was not good to her peoples.
Yeah.
And she basically forces the blood oath so that way they can't do anything against her.
Yes.
So it was nice that Celaena was able to find something worthy enough to make a trade.
Yes. I thought that was great.
Yes. So now, like, the war games begin, and Iskra tries to kill Petra, but Manon saves Petra, but couldn't save her wyvern.
Oh.
Yeah, so there's this battle going on in the Witch Clan for power. So after that battle, we do get that Manon is crowned the wing leader. And so Grandmother brings a Kraken witch out for Manon to kill.
Okay.
And, the Kraken witch says that they pity the other witches, and that they aren't born evil; they are made evil by their families.
Yeah.
And now that Manon chose to save Petra's life, she is now a threat.
To who?
Clearly,
the Krakens?
So clearly the other witches are not happy with that decision.
Yeah. Whatever. Manon was meant to stand out anyway, so hate her all you want, okay?
Yeah, she's also a badass. Yes, for sure.
Yes. So finally wrapping up the last little bit of this book. Chaol is called in to see the king. When he gets there, Adian is there surrounded by guards, and Dorian and Sorsha are brought in to this conversation. The king announces that he has spies that have told him about Adian and Chaol going out together, getting this information, what they're doing. The king does not like that at all. Which I don't get that unless the spies are actually telling them what they're doing, which I assume they probably are, because Chaol's the captain of his guard and Adian's a general, so naturally they should be working together, but whatever. The king also reveals that he knew that Dorian had planned to leave with Sorsha, that they were going to leave Otterlin. Adian says that he is the traitor, and the king plans to have him executed as a way to bring Celaena back to Rifthold. And Sorsha is revealed as the real traitor. And she's the one that's been sending the information out of the castle. So that's where I come back to somebody outside the castle was asking for all this detailed information. And I said, Sarah J. Maas doesn't put shit in her book for nothing.
You did, yes.
And
nice catch.
The king has her beheaded right there in front of Dorian. And that is somebody that Dorian has just fallen in love with. So what the okay? Yeah,
this whole scene is extremely intense.
Yes.
Emotions are extremely high. Ugh.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough to listen to, and talking about it now, I'm like, this is just absolute insanity.
Yeah.
But when you're hungry for power,
exactly,
you're gonna do what you gotta do.
Right.
Then the king demands that they also kill Chaol, but Dorian
Not having it.
No, he shows his dad his magic, and he stops the arrow that they shot at Chaol, and then Dorian helps him escape, and he gives him time to run.
Yep.
And then the fucking king puts one of those black collars on Dorian.
Like, it's such an intense, like, ending piece.
Yeah.
Like, we know that those collars and the rings have been used to control people. Right. So it was just like...
So now I'm questioning these rings, because he put the collar on Dorian. Dorian has magic. Mm-hmm. So it's making me question, does Duke Parrington have magic, and this black obsidian is I keep saying obsidian. Is this black onyx suppressing it? Like, but because he's got it's gotta be, Taylor. It's gotta be, because he set these black onyx towers up in this triangle, and inside that triangle there's no magic.
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't, like, Duke Parrington know, like, oh, I had magic before the king gave me my ring? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that part I'm not sure about.
Do we get answers on what this is? And what these rings do? Okay.
Oh, 100%.
God. I wish I could just ingest this information. Like, all of it. Okay.
Luckily, Chaol escapes with Fleetfoot. Thank you. Don't forget about Fleetfoot.
He took that dog and he ran. He meets up with Ren. So thank God for that, too.
And then that is pretty much how Heir of Fire ends. Just on a cliffhanger. Dorian gets his collar. Freaking Chaol runs away with Fleetfoot and has to meet up with Ren after Sorsha getting beheaded. We've got Rowan now did the blood oath to Celaena. And we have the witches. Things are happening.
What happened to Adian? Because the king planned to have him executed. But was he?
No. But the king still has Adian.
Okay.
And I only know that because I know what happens in Queen of Shadows.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so the king still has Adian in his dungeons. Obviously, I can see him not wanting to kill Adian now because he's going to want to bring Celaena and now actually Aelin, because at the end of Heir of Fire, she embraces who she is. So she is now Aelin Galathinius. Woohoo! Finally! Yay! Our fire heart. So he's going to obviously use Adian to bring her back to the castle. So we're going to have to see what happens there.
Yep. And Celaena is on her way back to Rifthold. So that is where Queen of Shadows is going to pick up.
Yes.
But for the next 2 weeks, we are covering a romance.
Yay!
And then Assassin's Blade. So you guys are going to have to wait
a
couple weeks for that. But we will get there. We promise we will get there.
Yes, we promise it'll be great.
It's a long series with a lot of information, and we didn't want to skimp on you guys. So we hope you're enjoying it. You know, if not, we're having fun.
Yes, as long as we're having fun, you know, if you haven't read, honestly, like, read along with our episodes.
Yes, please do. And, like, drop a comment. Let us know what you're loving that we're doing. And if you have questions that you want us to cover, like, let us know, because we would love to, if you guys have questions, answer them on the podcast. We will shout you out. So absolutely just hit us up. We would love that.
Yes. Yeah. So all right. I think that wraps us up.
Yes.
Thanks for having us.
Bye, Blippers.
Bye, guys.